Imagine walking down a street where every stone beneath your feet has witnessed centuries of history. A place where medieval merchants once traded wool, blacksmiths hammered glowing iron, and pilgrims passed through on journeys that changed their lives forever. Now imagine something even more remarkable. These streets aren't protected behind museum walls. They aren't elaborate film sets built inside Hollywood studios. They're real. People still live here. Children still walk to school here. Shopkeepers still open their doors every morning. And filmmakers from around the world continue to arrive because these streets already look exactly as they did hundreds of years ago. While many historic towns across Europe have been transformed by modern buildings, traffic, and glass storefronts, a handful of places in England have somehow escaped the march of time. Their crooked timber-framed houses still lean over narrow lanes. Ancient cobblestones still echo beneath footsteps, and every corner feels as though another medieval story is waiting to be discovered. It's no surprise that directors behind some of the world's biggest films, including Harry Potter, Stardust, The King's Speech, and countless historical dramas, have chosen these locations instead of spending millions constructing artificial sets. Today, we're counting down 8 extraordinary medieval streets in England where history is so perfectly preserved that filmmakers simply bring their cameras and start filming. Let's begin. Number 8. Church Street, Lacock. Hidden within the peaceful Wiltshire countryside lies a village that seems almost untouched by the modern world. Lacock isn't simply an old village. It's one of England's best-preserved medieval communities. Walking along Church Street feels like stepping directly into the 15th century. Stone cottages line the narrow road, their tiny windows reflecting centuries of changing seasons. Many of the buildings have remained remarkably unchanged for generations. There are no bright advertising signs, no modern apartment blocks, no glass office buildings interrupting the view. Instead, every doorway and every weathered wall quietly tells its own story. Because of this remarkable preservation, Lacock has become one of Britain's most popular filming locations. The village has appeared in numerous productions, including several Harry Potter films, where its timeless streets perfectly captured the magical atmosphere of the wizarding world. Film crews often require very little alteration. Modern road signs disappear for a few hours. A handful of vehicles are moved away, and suddenly the village becomes medieval England once again. But perhaps the most extraordinary part is that when filming ends, life simply continues. Residents return home. Children ride bicycles through streets that appeared on cinema screens around the world. And visitors discover that what looks like a movie set is actually someone's everyday neighborhood. Lacock proves that history doesn't always belong inside museums. Sometimes, it simply becomes part of daily life. Number 7. Steep Hill, Lincoln. Our next destination climbs toward one of England's greatest medieval cathedrals. Welcome to Steep Hill. True to its name, this famous street rises sharply through the heart of Lincoln, connecting the modern city below with its magnificent medieval quarter above. Walking uphill isn't easy, but every step rewards visitors with another glimpse into England's past. Beautiful timber-framed buildings stand beside centuries-old stone houses. Independent bookshops, antique stores, and traditional cafes occupy buildings that have welcomed visitors for hundreds of years. Even today, many original architectural features remain intact. It's this authenticity that has attracted filmmakers looking for genuine medieval surroundings. Historical dramas regularly use Lincoln's ancient streets because they require so little digital enhancement. The atmosphere simply can't be recreated inside a studio. At the top of the hill stands the magnificent Lincoln Cathedral, once the tallest building on Earth. Its towering presence dominates every view, reminding visitors that this city was once among medieval Europe's most important centers. Standing halfway up Steep Hill, it's easy to imagine knights riding on horseback, merchants transporting goods, and pilgrims making the difficult climb toward the cathedral centuries ago. Remarkably, the street itself still encourages visitors to slow down. The steep climb naturally forces people to walk rather than rush. Number 6. Vickers Close, Wells. Some historians describe it as the oldest continuously inhabited residential street in Europe. Whether or not that title is universally accepted, there's no question that Vickers Close is one of England's most extraordinary medieval streets. Built during the 14th century for the clergy serving nearby Wells Cathedral, the street remains astonishingly complete. Rows of identical stone houses stretch gracefully along a quiet cobbled lane, creating perfect symmetry rarely seen in medieval architecture. Unlike many historic locations, Vickers Close was designed with careful planning from the very beginning. Every house follows the same elegant pattern. Every chimney contributes to the remarkable skyline, and every doorway reflects a community that has survived for centuries. It's no surprise that filmmakers are drawn here whenever authentic medieval England is needed. Little has changed since the street was first completed. Modern wiring remains hidden. Traffic is almost entirely absent, and the peaceful atmosphere allows cameras to capture scenes that feel genuinely historic. Walking through Vickers Close is unlike visiting any ordinary tourist attraction. There are no dramatic special effects, no actors in costume, no recreated buildings. History itself provides the scenery. As evening sunlight falls across the ancient stone walls, shadows stretch gently across the cobbles, creating images that seem almost impossible in the 21st century. This isn't a replica. It's the real thing. Number 5. Mermaid Street, Rye. Our journey now takes us to the beautiful hilltop town of Rye in East Sussex, home to one of England's most photographed medieval streets. Welcome to Mermaid Street. The moment you step onto its uneven cobblestones, you can almost hear the echoes of another age. The street twists gently downhill, lined with timber-framed houses, centuries-old inns, and stone cottages whose walls have stood against wind and rain for hundreds of years. Many of these buildings date back to the 15th century, while some foundations are even older. In medieval times, Rye was one of England's most important ports. Merchants arrived with valuable cargo. Sailors filled the taverns after long voyages, and the town became wealthy through trade across the English Channel. But Mermaid Street has another, darker story. Centuries ago, smugglers used its narrow lanes to move tea, brandy, silk, and other illegal goods under the cover of darkness. Hidden tunnels and secret passageways beneath several buildings helped them avoid customs officers. These tales of mystery and adventure have inspired writers and filmmakers for decades. Because so little has changed, directors rarely need to disguise the street before filming. Remove a few modern signs, and Mermaid Street becomes medieval England once again. Television dramas, historical documentaries, and period films have all taken advantage of its authentic atmosphere. As evening falls and warm light reflect from the old stone walls, it's easy to understand why. Mermaid Street doesn't look like a film set. It looks like history itself. Number 4. Gold Hill, Shaftesbury. Next, we arrive at one of the most iconic streets in Britain. Even if you've never visited Shaftesbury, you've probably seen Gold Hill. This steep, cobbled street has become famous around the world thanks to its appearance in films, television productions, and one of Britain's most memorable television advertisements. The cottages lining Gold Hill date back hundreds of years. Their thick stone walls, slate roofs, and tiny windows preserve the appearance of medieval England with remarkable accuracy. Modern traffic is almost completely absent, allowing visitors to experience the street much as it would have appeared centuries ago. Directors love Gold Hill because every camera angle feels authentic. There are no modern buildings interrupting the skyline. No towering offices in the distance. Only ancient cottages, worn cobblestones, and rolling green hills beyond. It's a place where filmmakers don't need expensive visual effects. The location already provides everything they need. Visitors often arrive expecting a quick photograph. Instead, they find themselves slowing down, listening to bird song, and imagining what daily life might have been like hundreds of years ago. Gold Hill reminds us that sometimes the simplest places become the most unforgettable. Number 3. Elm Hill, Norwich. Welcome to Elm Hill in Norwich. Taking third place is one of England's finest surviving medieval streets. Unlike many historic streets that were rebuilt after devastating fires, Elm Hill survived largely intact, preserving an extraordinary collection of medieval buildings. Walking here feels like entering another century. Timber-framed houses lean gently over the narrow lane, their upper floors almost touching across the street. Traditional shop fronts occupy buildings that once served medieval merchants and craftsmen. The entire area has been carefully protected, ensuring that modern development never overwhelms its historic character. This remarkable authenticity has made Elm Hill one of Britain's favorite filming locations. Film crews frequently choose it for historical dramas because so little needs to be altered. Directors simply remove modern vehicles, add a few period props, and the transformation is complete. Among the many productions filmed here are historical television series and fantasy adventures that required convincing medieval streets without the enormous cost of constructing elaborate sets. Yet despite its fame, Elm Hill never feels crowded. Independent bookshops, antique stores, cafes, and small galleries create a peaceful atmosphere where visitors can appreciate the street at their own pace. Every doorway seems to tell a story. Every wooden beam carries centuries of history. And every step across the ancient cobblestones reminds us that these buildings have survived wars, fires, economic change, and the passing of countless generations. Few places in England preserve the spirit of the Middle Ages as completely as Elm Hill. It's not simply beautiful, it's genuinely timeless. Number 2. The Shambles, York. Welcome to the Shambles. Tucked away in the historic city of York, this narrow lane has been astonishing visitors for centuries. At first glance, it almost feels fictional, as though it were designed by a Hollywood art department. But every leaning timber-framed building, every uneven cobblestone, and every crooked roofline is real. Many of the buildings standing here today date back to the 14th and 15th centuries, although the street itself is even older. The name Shambles comes from the medieval word for the open-air meat market that once filled this lane. Local butchers displayed their goods on wide wooden shelves outside their shops, while narrow gutters running along the street carried away rainwater and waste. Thankfully, today's visitors encounter a far more pleasant atmosphere. Independent shops, traditional cafes, and historic storefronts have replaced the butcher stalls, but the remarkable architecture remains almost untouched. One of the most fascinating features of the Shambles is how the upper floors of many buildings extend outward over the street below. In some places, the houses lean so closely toward one another that they almost appear to touch. This dramatic design creates one of the most recognizable medieval streets anywhere in Europe. Film producers have long been drawn to York because so much of its historic center survives intact. While modern equipment may be needed behind the scenes, the streets themselves require almost no transformation. Many visitors also notice a striking resemblance between the Shambles and the magical shopping street featured in the Harry Potter films. Although the movies were primarily filmed elsewhere, the Shambles has become a popular destination for fans because its atmosphere feels remarkably similar. Whether you're interested in history, architecture, or cinema, few places capture the imagination quite like this extraordinary street. Walking through the Shambles isn't just sightseeing. It's stepping into a living chapter of England's medieval past. Taking the number 1 spot is a place so perfectly preserved that many people describe it as England's most beautiful village. Welcome to Castle Combe in the county of Wiltshire. Unlike many historic villages that gradually expanded with modern developments, Castle Combe has remained remarkably unchanged for generations. At the heart of the village lies its historic Market Street, lined with honey-colored Cotswold stone cottages, medieval houses, and a tiny market cross dating back centuries. The street looks almost exactly as it did long before the invention of the motor car. Modern streetlights are almost impossible to find. There are no neon signs, no towering buildings, no distracting advertisements. Only beautiful stone architecture, flower-filled windows, and peaceful lanes that invite visitors to slow down. It is this extraordinary authenticity that has attracted filmmakers from around the world. Castle Coombe has appeared in productions including War Horse, Stardust, Dr. Dolittle, and several historical television dramas. For directors, The Village offers something incredibly rare. A complete medieval setting where almost nothing needs to be built. Instead of spending millions constructing elaborate sets, filmmakers simply arrive with cameras, lighting equipment, and actors. The Village provides the rest. Early in the morning, before visitors arrive, Castle Coombe becomes almost silent. Birdsong echoes through the narrow lanes. Mist drifts gently across the surrounding countryside. Golden sunlight reflects from ancient stone walls that have stood for hundreds of years. Standing here feels less like visiting a tourist attraction and more like walking through history itself. It is difficult to imagine another place where the medieval world survives with such remarkable beauty. That is why Castle Coombe earns our #1 position. England's medieval streets are far more than beautiful places to photograph. They are living reminders of a world that existed long before modern cities, motorways, and skyscrapers transformed the landscape. Each crooked, timber-framed house, every weathered cobblestone, and every ancient doorway tells a story that cannot be recreated inside a film studio. Perhaps that is why filmmakers continue returning to these remarkable locations. They offer something no computer-generated image can truly capture. Authenticity. Whether it's the magical atmosphere of the Shambles, the peaceful charm of Castle Coombe, the dramatic slope of Gold Hill, or the hidden history of Mermaid Street, these places allow us to experience England's past in a way few destinations still can. They remind us that history isn't always locked behind museum glass. Sometimes it's a street where people still live, work, shop, and greet their neighbors, just as generations before them once did. So, which of these incredible medieval streets would you most like to explore? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through England's timeless streets, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more documentaries uncovering hidden places, forgotten villages, and remarkable history from across Britain. Until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next journey into Britain's past.